Okay, well, thanks for coming to the Goldman Fellows information session. We're gonna do an overview of the Gephardt Institute, what we mean when we say civic engagement. We're gonna do some introductions in the room. We're gonna talk about the program, and then we'll talk about the application process and then what you can expect after you've applied. And then we'll talk about key components of the program. And then we happen to have a fellow from the 2021 cohort here to answer any questions. And then we'll wrap up. Okay, so briefly, the Gephardt Institute's mission is to foster a vibrant culture of civic engagement throughout Washington University, catalyzed by engaged citizens, scholarship, and partnerships that advance the collective good. Our goals are to educate students for lifelong engaged citizenship, catalyze community partnerships that respond to community needs and priorities, and infuse civic engagement throughout the WashU experience. So we see the Goldman Fellows program fitting squarely into goals 1 and 2 with the way that they've been set up to help students think about their civic identities, their role in community, and then to work with local organizations within the St. Louis context. So what does civic engagement look like? The short answer is it's practically everything. It means that it can mean many different ways of engaging your community, or if we broaden that to think in larger contexts, that can be engaging with systems. So like typical example of that would be engaging with our country's government and voting and being a part of elections or serving in public office. But it can also be things like volunteering at a local pet rescue or a food pantry. It could be starting a neighborhood association. It could just be attending the association meetings. It could be a bit more informal, like you're helping your neighbor with their groceries. You could be participating in advocacy and activism. The point is that it's an activity and it's a commitment. So here we're attempting to promote the quality of life in a community through both political and non-political processes. All right, who is in the room? I will give a brief introduction of myself, and then I'll ask Linda to introduce herself. And then if other folks could give their name, their class year, their major, how they learned about this program, and then a description of your dream internship this summer. And then for Priya, you can do a remix of the last question if you would like. Yeah, so I'm Nicole Murphy. I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator here at the Gephardt Institute. Among my many responsibilities is leading the Goldman Fellows program. It's one of my favorite things to do. I really enjoy watching students connect with St. Louis, as St. Louis has become my home and holds a very special place in my heart, but also in my daily life. And yeah, I will pass to Linda.
Hi, I'm Linda Duke. I'm a special projects consultant. So I'm relatively new to Gephardt Institute, but I'm helping to coordinate the Goldman Fellows and the other St. Louis summer programs and civic scholars. So Lauren, if you have questions in the future, I'm certainly happy to help answer them. And I will turn it over to Priya.
Hi, I'm Priya. I'm a senior and majoring in biology, minoring in Spanish. I had learned about the Goldman Fellows program kind of just through the Gephardt website. I'd been really interested in like Gephardt's like other programs, like kind of like sessions they run and yeah, just been informational sessions and events that they've hosted. And then also I knew upperclassmen who had been in either Civic Scholars or Goldman Fellows in the past through a student group I'm part of called Goldman. And my dream internship, I guess I kind of got to do already with the Goldman Fellows program last year. But yeah, I think like working with public health nonprofits in St. Louis was kind of my dream internship.
If you would introduce yourself, Lauren, that'd be great.
Wasn't sure if I was supposed to go or not, but absolutely. And thank you so much, Miss Duke. I'll definitely be reaching out with questions, I'm sure. And okay, so my name is Lauren. I'm a freshman. I have absolutely no idea what I want to do for my major. I'm thinking something to do with math, or potentially biology, chemistry, psychology, really like anything STEM, honestly. And then I learned about the Goldman Fellows program because I'm from Houston, and we always have, there's a lot of field hockey players here, and some of my best friends play field hockey. So they always go to like a Gephardt tournament in St. Louis. So they're always talking about St. Louis. Oh, we're going this weekend for the tournament. And so I wanted to research it and kind of see like what the organization was. And then I found the fellowships and I was like, oh my gosh, I go to WashU. Like, that's kind of crazy. Like, that would be awesome if I could do like a fellowship. And then I think my dream internship would probably be like leading like a summer class for like elementary or middle school age students, just because that's something I did a lot of before COVID. And there's really like, we like transferred it to an online format, but it's really hard to compare to being in person with a student. And so I'd love to do something like that, like with the local St. Louis middle school or elementary school.
And then I see that Sonia joined us. We were just doing introductions. You don't have to if you don't want to.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sonia Sequeira. I am our new Associate Director of Community Engagement. And I'm still figuring out my computer setup, so that's why my video isn't on. But I'm really excited to join the Gephardt Institute and have been listening into the info sessions to hear more about the different programs.
Great, thank you. I'm glad that we're all here, and I'm glad that we're all here to talk about the Goldman Fellows program. So the program is one of the oldest of the Institute. It's going to be entering its 15th year, its 15th cohort this year, which is really exciting. Overall, the program seeks to support continuing undergraduate students in defining their role in civic and community engagement, progressing their professional development, and clarifying their career interests. And then we provide a $5,000 stipend for what would be otherwise unpaid internships in the St. Louis region. The program goals are to develop student leaders by identifying and honing professional skills, encouraging self-awareness, and guiding students toward preparedness for their careers, to support positive community impact by expanding community partner organizations' capacity through listening, student intern preparation and coaching, and conversation and opportunity for ongoing collaboration. And then to foster student identities as St. Louis citizens through immersion in St. Louis engagement and learning with local leaders, and reflection and dialogue with peers of diverse identities, backgrounds, and perspectives. Some key program elements include our weekly seminars. In our seminars, we provide context about St. Louis. We talk through what it's like to work in a nonprofit, things that you can expect or things that come up in a particular fellow's experience in their internship. There's some problem solving that happens. It's a great peer learning space for folks to bring in what they're doing in their week to week and ask questions of each other and to share with each other. And then we do a lot of talking around like what are some what are some potential things that could be impacting your ability to engage, things like that. Priya can definitely talk more about that later if she wants. Then we do neighborhood immersions, which is typically my favorite part. Unfortunately, with COVID, they've been virtual the last couple of summers, so hoping to be able to do some in-person things. But essentially, we partner with local community leaders or organizations in particular neighborhoods. We go to those neighborhoods, we learn about them from the folks who live there or work there. And it's an excellent way to sort of understand St. Louis from different perspectives, which for me is particularly important considering we hear many competing narratives about what St. Louis is like. And so I think it's important to get those perspectives from other folks, and then to be able to do some critical thinking about how do you put those different narratives together for your own understanding of St. Louis. Obviously, there's internships. So fellows will secure internships at local nonprofits, community organizations, or governmental organizations. And do a minimum of 300 hours over the course of the summer with those organizations. You really get to work with your supervisor to think through what your goals will be for the summer, what your projects will be for the summer, and then work towards those. And then there's community events, which I would say are sort of typical things that St. Louisans might do in the summer, which again has been a little bit different because COVID. But so we've gone to Cardinals games, we've seen shows at the Muni. We did Shakespeare in the park last year, that was fun. And so there are opportunities for you to, again, immerse yourself in sort of St. Louis culture, but also to do that as a part of your cohort so that you're doing some bonding and sharing some significant experiences together. And then there's a supervision or one-on-one sort of coaching opportunity where folks would meet with the program leads every other week for an hour to talk specifically about what's happening with their internship, how they're engaging with the program, and sort of talk through if there are problems that they'd like help addressing, or if they want to think through various approaches to things, and also just fun to chat. Okay, so here's a closer look. I think that it's important to understand the full scope of what your time looks like during the summer. So while you are doing 300 hours at your internship, you're also required to attend things from a programmatic side. And so that looks like, again, these hour-long individual meetings every other week. Then there's small group meetings, there's 2-hour seminars, there's immersions that happen on every other Saturday. And then there's community events, which could be anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, depending on what the event actually is. And so your weeks are pretty full. You're essentially working basically full time, and then we're asking you to spend time with us on top of that. So I think it's just important to understand the full scope of that commitment on like a week-to-week basis. So considerations before applying. So again, we ask that you complete at least 3 hours of time at the organization you're working with. There have been opportunities in the past where folks have received half of an award for doing 150 hours. And that has depended on, again, the students' capacity and needs, but also the organization's capacity and needs. So maybe they don't need a full-time intern, but you'd still like to work with them. That's something that we can talk about. For international students with a work visa, would love to have you in the program. If that's something that you're interested in, please follow up with me or with Linda to discuss the process of obtaining work eligibility for the summer. And then just a general eligibility note is that you're a continuing full-time undergraduate student in good academic standing. So that's for rising sophomores, rising juniors, and rising seniors. So the application process is completely online. So there's an application hub on our website now. It should be underneath the For Students tab, I believe. So you'll complete your online application. We also ask that a part of that you attach a resume, specifically highlighting your civic and community engagement that you've done. And then we ask that you submit at least one recommendation. That new this year, it used to be a letter from recommenders emailed directly to us. There is now an online form. And so you can find that on the same application hub, the link for providing that to your recommender or sending your recommender to the website. All of these materials must be completed and submitted before, by Sunday, February 20th at 11:59 p.m. So that means if we get it Monday at 12:01, we're not gonna accept that as complete. There, I will say that we offer some flexibility in terms of recommenders. So if your recommender would have issues submitting by that time, we just ask that you communicate with us about that so that we can then communicate with the recommender. So additional resources. So we have these 2 program-specific information sessions, but then we also provide drop-in sessions, the dates as listed on the slide, and we'll be sure to follow up with a handy little chart that will help you keep track of all of these dates. But this is a session in which, say you're working on your application and you just want to talk it through with someone else. These will be staffed by current or previous fellows for these programs. So you get a chance to, again, talk with someone who's been through the program, who has been through the application and selection process, and can help you. They can't help you write it, but they can help be a sounding board for what you're thinking. Okay, so you've submitted your application. What can you expect afterwards? We will have put together a selection committee that's made up of faculty and staff from across campus. We'll meet together with the selection committee and narrow down the applicant pool to offer 30-minute interviews to a select group of candidates. So really when we say 30 minutes, they're more like 20 minutes. They can be in person or virtual. So if you're currently studying abroad, no worries. Zoom is excellent for distanced communication. And then interviews will be held Friday, March 4th or Saturday, March 5th between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. And then if you are selected for the program, you would be notified by Wednesday, March 16th. Some important dates to keep in mind, maybe put a hold on your calendar so you're aware that this is something you'd be required to do if you're selected. We have some spring seminar dates that are on successive Saturdays, and then we have a cohort welcome and then a summer retreat, which will be the Tuesday before you start your internship hours on June 1st. Okay, so that is all that I have for you. I'll open it up for questions in general, but also if you would like to, we are joined by Priya, and you could ask Priya any questions that you want about her experience.
I have one question, I guess, just in general about the fellowship is like, sort of what was one unexpected kind of outcome or like just something that happened that, you know, you went into the fellowship and you weren't really expecting it to be that way, but it was something like exciting or fun?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think something that I wasn't really expecting was to really like the seminars every week so much. And like, not that I thought I wouldn't like them, but I was really surprised by how like engaging they were and how many different perspectives the other cohort members brought to them. I didn't really know. I only knew one person in the cohort when I first started. So I was kind of like unsure how that would go, but it was really, really cool to like have discussions with people that I would have never met at WashU otherwise, and hear like kind of where they had come from and different experiences they had had. So that was like a surprising thing that I really enjoyed.
Thank you so much, Priya. That sounds great.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Priya, if you could talk to your experience finding an internship and then securing your internship with your supervisor and sort of working through the process of determining what your goals or your projects would be.
Yeah. I think I was like really like surprised also, but excited by how much direction that I had in choosing the internship. Like it was very much like up to me, and I like got to meet with Nicole and like talk through kind of what I was thinking about, and she gave me some suggestions for places to look for. But ultimately, like I kind of had a couple different like informational interview kind of situations where I was talking to different people that could potentially be my supervisor at different organizations. So I kind of looked at I think the Missouri Environmental Coalition, something like that. I remember when we were talking about that. So I had a couple different places in mind, and I ended up going with the Spot, Supporting Positive Opportunities for Teens, which is a healthcare nonprofit in St. Louis that supports people specifically like facing poverty, trauma, and discrimination, access like healthcare, and it's kind of a drop-in clinic. So that ended up being really cool because I'm interested in public health and medicine, so that kind of aligned with my interests. So I had to meet with one of the coordinators at the Spot and kind of talk about the possibility of doing my internship there. And then from there, we kind of met to talk about my goals. And that was also very self-directed, which I really enjoyed. So I kind of got to decide what projects I wanted to support them with. And something I was really interested in was doing research of some kind or getting experience working with data. So because of that, I got to work with a different, not my main supervisor, but a different staff member at the Spot. And we got to look at data from their electronic medical record and kind of analyze that in Excel to look at demographics of people using PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis, this medication regimen for people to prevent HIV transmission. So anyway, it ended up being a really cool experience and something that was like useful for me in the future. But that was like largely because I came into the internship kind of with that idea in mind and like interest in research and healthcare nonprofits. So yeah, I was really excited that the fellowship was very self-directed and let me choose what I wanted to do. But the process of securing the internship was definitely, it wasn't challenging because people were super, super willing to talk and nice, but it was challenging to figure out like what I really wanted and how I could make that happen.
Thanks for sharing, Priya. That was really helpful.
I guess I have one question more so about logistics. Just in terms of like where you're living when you're a Goldman Fellow, I guess, is that kind of something you have to independently decide, or is that something organized by the Gephardt Institute?
That's a good question. I think that it's up to you, but I'm not 100% sure. I was living in St. Louis already. Oh, sorry, Nicole. I just had an apartment and I kept my lease through the summer and then for the following year. So I was in St. Louis. I think you have to be in St. Louis for it. But so that ended up working out for me. But I know other people like sublet from other people or found other ways to stay in St. Louis.
Yeah, so currently the program does not give any sort of direction in terms of housing, and it doesn't provide housing. Part of what we try to do is make sure that if you're selected for the program, your stipend is available for you to help figure out your summer housing plans. I am always interested in feedback for possible changes to the program. So if that is some feedback that folks will want to provide in terms of what would be helpful for mitigating barriers to participation, like that would be great for us to know. Any other questions or thoughts that you'd like to share? This is being recorded for other folks to see. So if you have anything on your mind that you want to share about your experience, Priya, that could be helpful for other folks. Or if you have any other questions. Lauren, is there anything that you were expecting to hear about the program that we didn't talk about?
I think the presentation went over a lot of kind of my questions and my curiosities. I guess the housing was something. I did really like hearing about kind of how much freedom you had though, Priya, in like choosing what you wanted to do, just because I think like that's also such an important part of like a fellowship or an internship is having that opportunity to like grow in that way. And yeah, thank you all so much for the presentation. This was awesome.
I will say that there should be a video on the website where Priya gives some other reflections on her experience, if you want to hear more from Priya. Otherwise, I think if there are no other questions or things that want to share, that folks want to share, we can wrap up. Oh, go ahead.
I do have one thing. I just realized when I exited Zoom on my phone, I lost the link to the Google form.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind sending the link in the chat again, Linda, that'd be awesome. And then just for a bit of housekeeping, if you have additional questions, you can either email me directly. You can find my information on the website. It should be underneath the staff section, but it also should be linked at some point in the Goldman Fellows section. And then also you could email St. Louis Summer or STL Summer Fellowships at wustl.edu, and that will direct you to the lovely Linda, who can help field questions as well.